He's fourth in the entire NFL in pressure rate allowed. He nearly tripled his workload and somehow got better on every single snap. And yet the national media just ranked him behind six guys who aren't half as good as he is. Something is seriously broken in how this league evaluates offensive tackles, and today we're fixing it. Before we get into it, if you're new here, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a share, because this channel brings you the deepest Dolphins breakdowns on the internet. Let's talk about Patrick Paul, because Miami fans already know what they've got. The rest of the football world, they haven't got a clue. And that's about to become a very expensive mistake for anyone still doubting him. A little while back, we reacted to an ESPN ranking that put the entire Dolphins offensive line dead last, but 30th out of 32 teams. That alone was hard to swallow. But buried inside that ranking was something even more insulting. They graded Patrick Paul as a bottom 10 left tackle in the whole league. At the time, we called that ridiculous. Well, it just got worse. A respected analytics group released their own offensive line rankings this week, and Miami landed at 29. Not individual positions this time, just a blanket statement that the Dolphins' front five is among the worst units in football. And somehow, Patrick Paul keeps getting lumped into that mess. Here's the thing. I get the skepticism around a rookie like Caden Proctor or a second-year guy like Jonas Savainia. Fine, but Patrick Paul isn't unproven anymore. Aaron Brewer earned All-Pro recognition. Austin Jackson is a solid piece when healthy. But Paul specifically, he is being disrespected on a level that doesn't match the tape. So is he bad as a rookie? Absolutely. 4 or 5 appearances, 3 starts, and it was rough to watch. But look at what happened between year 1 and year 2. His snap count nearly tripled, and his sacks allowed only went up by 1. His pressures allowed only rose by 10. For a player who went from a handful of games to a full 17-game workload, that is not a small step forward. That's a massive leap. Watch the tape from his rookie year next to last season, and it doesn't even look like the same player. Now go back to that same national ranking. Not just team offensive lines, individual positions, tackle by tackle. Paul got slotted 29th at his own spot. Behind Dan Moore Jr., behind Will Campbell, behind Cole Van Lanen, behind Troy Fautanu, behind Braxton Jones, who wasn't even a full-time starter in Chicago last year. They even ranked him below an unproven rookie tackle who they gave a flat, default grade just because there wasn't enough film yet. Meanwhile, Will Campbell was getting torched in the playoffs, and he's still rated ahead of Paul. That's not analysis. That's a list built off reputation, not tape. Quick question for you. If a player is outperforming half the guys ranked above him in every advanced metric that matters, how does he still end up at the bottom of the list? Sit with that for a second, because it gets even more absurd when you look at the actual numbers. Forget the surface-level grades for a second and look at the advanced pass-blocking data. Patrick Paul allowed only 2 quarterback hits all season, 6th best among every single offensive tackle in the league, not just left tackles. Every tackle in football, and he's top 6. He ranked 14th in hurries allowed, 14th in total pressures allowed, 13th in pass blocking efficiency. That's top 15 across the board in every major pass protection category, out of roughly 60 qualified tackles league-wide. That puts him comfortably in the top 20% of the entire league at his position. And somehow, somewhere, he's still getting ranked 29th. It isn't just an oversight anymore. It's a pattern of ignoring the numbers entirely. And maybe that's fine. Maybe it's better if the league keeps sleeping on him, because he's about to make a whole lot of people look foolish. Miami's new front office already sees it. Within days of taking over, the new general manager publicly named Patrick Paul as one of the true building blocks of this roster, putting him in the same breath as their center and their top offensive skill players. That's not a throwaway compliment. That's someone with 2 decades of evaluating offensive line play in a historically great organization, saying the quiet part out loud almost immediately. Now here's the question of the day, and I want real answers in the comments. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in Patrick Paul becoming a legitimate top 15 left tackle in this league? Drop your number below and tell me why. Personally, I'm sitting around a 9. Not a perfect 10, but I am fully bought in on where this is heading. Let's talk about what the front office has actually done here, because it tells the real story. They drafted a massive, athletic left tackle prospect out of Alabama in the first round this year, a player who started at left tackle his entire college career. If Patrick Paul were even slightly in danger of losing his job, that's exactly the kind of insurance move you'd expect. Instead, that same rookie is projected to kick inside and play left guard as a rookie, with a longer-term plan to eventually slide him to right tackle once other roster spots open up. There is no ambiguity in that decision. This new regime views Patrick Paul as the unquestioned left tackle of the future, full stop. And when you stack him against his own teammates on that same line ranking, the disrespect becomes even clearer. One projection had Paul rated barely half a point higher than the guard who statistically graded as the worst offensive lineman in all of football last season, and barely a tenth of a point above a player who's had an inconsistent few years. That's not a knock on those two guys. It's proof that Paul's number should be dramatically higher. Realistically, based on his actual pass protection tape, he should be sitting in the mid to upper 5 range on that scale, maybe even into the 6-point territory. That's the gap between where he's rated and where his performance actually lives. One more number for you. Pressure rate allowed last season, charted independently across the entire league. Patrick Paul ranked 4th lowest among all offensive tackles. 4th, not top 10. 4th overall. And here's a stat pulled straight from this offseason. A longtime local beat reporter who's covered this franchise for years said publicly that through the entirety of offseason camp, he couldn't recall a single edge rusher getting past Patrick Paul. Keep in mind, that's without full pads, which limits physicality and favors speed rushers. If pure speed is the only path to beating him, and he's still walling guys up clean, that should terrify opposing pass rushers heading into the regular season. Quick rhetorical question to leave you with. If a player is 4th in the league in pressure rate, top 15 in nearly every advanced pass blocking category, and getting publicly praised by his own front office within days of a new regime taking over, at what point does the national conversation actually catch up? My genuine belief is that by this time next year, Patrick Paul gets talked about as a legitimate top 15 left tackle in football. Miami still has him under contract for 2 more seasons, and if he plays anywhere close to how he played last year, an extension in the neighborhood of $20 million a year isn't just likely. It's earned. The league is sleeping on him right now. That window is closing fast. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll keep tracking this story as it develops.